In the shadows of ancient Rome, a secret faith flourished among the ranks of the legionaries, hidden from the uninitiated. Bonded by blood and silence, these soldiers sought favor from a god born of stone and light. Inside windowless temples, the initiates gathered to partake in clandestine rituals that transcended the physical world. Every object held a cryptic truth, every flame a bridge to the celestial realms they aimed to reach. Through 7 grades of initiation, they faced trials that tested their loyalty, courage, and very soul. A mystery cult that eventually vanished, leaving only cold stone to guard its eternal sacred secrets.
The Sacred Mysteries of Zerzevan, where ancient Mithraism meets modern intrigue in the rugged highlands of southeastern Turkey, where the Tigris River carves its ancient path through sun-baked stone, stands Zerzevan Castle, a fortress that guards secrets far older and more enigmatic than its 3rd-century walls suggest. This remote outpost, perched on a limestone plateau near the modern city of Diyarbakır, has emerged from historical obscurity to become one of the most significant archaeological discoveries of the 21st century, drawing scholars, archaeologists, and an unexpected procession of global elites to its weathered ramparts. The hidden temple beneath the fortress, for centuries, Zerzevan Castle was known primarily as a Roman military garrison, a frontier stronghold built to defend the empire's eastern borders against Persian incursions. Local shepherds grazed their flocks among its ruins, and the occasional traveler might pause to admire the commanding views across the Mesopotamian plain. But in 2017, excavations led by archaeologists from Deccal University revealed something extraordinary. Beneath the castle's administrative quarters lay one of the best-preserved Mithraic temples ever discovered, a subterranean sanctuary where Roman soldiers once gathered to worship the mysterious god. Mithras the Mithraeum, as such temples are called, follows the classic architectural pattern, a long, narrow chamber carved into bedrock, with raised benches running along both sides, where initiates would recline during ritual meals. At the far end, a relief depicts the religion's central image, the Tauroctony, showing Mithras slaying a cosmic bull, surrounded by symbolic figures including a dog, a serpent, a raven, and a scorpion. Unlike many Mithraic temples damaged by early Christian iconoclasts, Zerzevan's sanctuary remained remarkably intact, its frescoes still bearing traces of ochre and blue pigment, its altar stone still marked with the channels that once carried sacrificial blood. The cult of mysteries Mithraism was perhaps the Roman Empire's most enigmatic religion, a mystery cult that spread through the legions like wildfire during the 2nd and 3rd centuries CE. Unlike the public religions of Rome, with their grand temples and civic ceremonies, Mithraism was deliberately secretive, restricted to initiated men who progressed through 7 grades of spiritual advancement. Corax, raven; Nymphus, bridegroom; Miles, soldier; Leo, lion; Persis, Perseon; Heliodromus, sunrunner; and finally Pater, father. What drew Roman soldiers to this Persian-influenced deity? The religion offered something the state cults could not: personal salvation, a promise of immortality earned through moral discipline and esoteric knowledge. The rituals, conducted in darkness, illuminated only by torches and oil lamps, involved symbolic reenactments of Mithras's cosmic deeds, sacred meals of bread and wine, and oaths of brotherhood that bound initiates across the empire's vast distances. Some scholars believe the bull-slaying scene represents astronomical knowledge, a map of the heavens encoding the precession of the equinoxes, with Mithras as the force that moves the cosmos itself. At Zerzevan, the temple's location within a military fortress underscores the religion's martial character. This was not a place for casual worship, but a sanctuary where soldiers sought spiritual fortification before battle, where they forged bonds stronger than blood, and where they participated in mysteries that promised them a place among the stars after death. The archaeological revelation. The discovery of Zerzevan's Mithraeum sent ripples through the archaeological community. While over 400 Mithraic temples have been identified across the former Roman Empire, most are fragmentary ruins in urban contexts, disturbed by centuries of construction. Zerzevan offered something rare, a complete ritual complex in its original military setting, with auxiliary structures including what appears to be a ritual bath and ceremonial dining halls. Professor Aytaç Koşkun, who led the excavations, described the find as a window into the spiritual life of Rome's frontier soldiers. The site has yielded thousands of artifacts, votive offerings, oil lamps decorated with Mithraic symbols, pottery fragments bearing inscriptions in Latin and Greek, and most intriguingly, a series of carved gemstones that may have served as identification tokens for different grades of initiation. But beyond its archaeological value, Zerzevan Castle began to attract attention from an unexpected quarter. As news of the discovery spread through academic journals and then into mainstream media, the remote Turkish fortress found itself on the itinerary of a curious category of visitors: wealthy collectors, esoteric scholars, and members of what might loosely be termed the global elite, individuals whose interest in Mithraism seemed to transcend purely historical curiosity. The modern pilgrims, they arrived discreetly, often in private vehicles with tinted windows, sometimes by helicopter to the nearby town of Çınar. Silicon Valley tech entrepreneurs who have made fortunes in cryptocurrency and artificial intelligence. European aristocrats whose families have maintained private libraries of occult manuscripts for generations. Wealthy Middle Eastern collectors known for acquiring controversial antiquities. American hedge fund managers with a passion for ancient mystery religions. Even the occasional celebrity, their faces hidden behind sunglasses and scarves, seeking something the modern world cannot provide. What draws them to this remote corner of Turkey? Some come as serious students of religious history, drawn by Mithraism's reputation as a thinking person's religion, a system that combined philosophy, astronomy, and ethics in a way that resonates with contemporary seekers disillusioned with conventional faiths. They spend hours in the underground temple, meditating in the same spaces where Roman soldiers once sought enlightenment, trying to decode the symbolic language carved into the stone. Others are motivated by more esoteric interests. Mithraism's secretive nature and its emphasis on hierarchical initiation have long fascinated those attracted to mystery traditions. Conspiracy theorists have noted superficial similarities between Mithraic grades and the degrees of Freemasonry, though mainstream historians dismiss any direct connection. Nevertheless, the idea of an ancient wisdom tradition, preserved in underground temples and transmitted through coded symbols, exerts a powerful pull on certain imaginations. There are also those who come seeking what might be called spiritual tourism, the experience of standing in a sacred space, of touching stones touched by hands 2 millennia gone, of feeling a connection to something vast and timeless. In an age of digital distraction and existential uncertainty, these ancient sites offer a tangible link to human beings who grappled with the same fundamental questions. What happens after death? How should one live? What forces govern the cosmos? During the controversy and the questions, the influx of elite visitors has not been without controversy. Local authorities in Diyarbakır have had to balance the economic benefits of high-end tourism against concerns about the site's preservation. There have been whispers, unconfirmed but persistent, of private tours arranged outside official channels, of substantial donations made to archaeological foundations in exchange for after-hours access, of wealthy collectors inquiring about the possibility of acquiring artifacts. Turkish cultural officials have been careful to maintain that Zerzevan Castle is a protected archaeological site, not a venue for private mystical experiences. Yet the reality is more complex. The site's remote location makes strict oversight difficult, and the region's economic challenges make the interest of wealthy visitors hard to ignore entirely. More philosophically troubling are questions about cultural appropriation and the commodification of ancient spirituality. Does a Silicon Valley billionaire meditating in a Mithraic temple represent a genuine spiritual seeking, or is it merely another form of consumption, collecting experiences as others collect art? Can the mysteries of an ancient religion, developed within a specific historical and cultural context, be meaningfully accessed by modern individuals whose worldview is fundamentally different? Some scholars argue that this kind of engagement, however imperfect, keeps ancient sites relevant and generates resources for their preservation. Others see it as a troubling pattern in which the wealthy appropriate cultural heritage as a form of spiritual capital, using their resources to access experiences unavailable to ordinary people. The enduring mystery, what remains undeniable, is that Zerzevan Castle and its Mithraic temple continue to exert a strange fascination that transcends academic interest. Perhaps this is because Mithraism, unlike Christianity or Islam, left no scriptures, no systematic theology, no apologetic literature explaining its doctrines to outsiders. Everything we know comes from archaeology and the hostile accounts of early Christian writers. The religion is all question marks and tantalizing fragments, a puzzle that invites projection and speculation. Standing in the underground temple today, one can almost hear the echoes, the chanting of initiates, the crackling of torches, the murmur of prayers in Latin. The stone relief of Mithras slaying the bull seems to gaze out across the centuries, keeping its secrets. What did those Roman soldiers believe they were doing in this chamber? What knowledge did they think they possessed? What transformation did they undergo as they progressed through the 7 grades? We will likely never know with certainty. The mysteries were kept, and they remain kept, locked in stone and silence. Yet perhaps this very uncertainty is what draws people to Zerzevan, the global elites no less than the scholars and the curious tourists. In a world that claims to have explained everything, that reduces mystery to data and spirituality to neuroscience, there is something profoundly attractive about a genuine unknown. Here is a religion that cannot be fully recovered, a wisdom that cannot be downloaded, an experience that cannot be replicated virtually. The future of the past as excavations continue at Zerzevan Castle. New discoveries emerge each season. Archaeologists have identified what may be a larger temple complex, suggesting that the site's religious significance was even greater than initially thought. There is talk of developing the castle into a major archaeological park, with museums and visitor facilities that would make it accessible to a broader public. But there is also resistance to too much development, a desire to preserve the site's austere, remote character. After all, part of what makes Zerzevan powerful is precisely that it is not easy to reach, that it requires effort and intention to visit. The journey across the harsh Anatolian plateau becomes itself a kind of pilgrimage, a preparation for encountering something that cannot be casually consumed. As for the global elites who continue to make their way to this ancient fortress, their motivations will remain as varied and complex as human nature itself. Some seek knowledge, others seek status, still others seek something they cannot quite name, a sense of connection, perhaps, or meaning or transcendence. Whether they find what they seek in the shadows of the Mithraeum is between them and the silent stone god who has waited there for 1,800 years. What is certain is that Zerzevan Castle, once a forgotten ruin on the edge of empire, has become a crossroads once again. A place where ancient mysteries and modern yearnings meet, where the past refuses to stay buried, and where the questions that haunted Roman soldiers on the Persian frontier still echo in the hearts of those who come seeking answers in the darkness beneath the earth. The god Mithras keeps his secrets still, but the pilgrims keep coming, drawn by something older than empires, deeper than knowledge, and more enduring than stone.